You were dry. Hey everybody, what's up? Whew. See, this is why I need to cut my hair, because I can't be bothered to comb it so often. Hey, welcome. Welcome. My God, it's really hot in here. Welcome everybody. I haven't done a live in a while, so let's chat. Feel free to ask me whatever you want and I'll try to answer. In the meantime, I'm going to try and deal with this mess that I have right here. I had it like braided for a couple of days because I just didn't want to comb it. But I'm starting my Thanksgiving celebration today, so I need to stop looking like a homeless person, basically. Alright, so what do? I left all my I'm still at my father, so I left most of all my hair stuff at my place. So at this point I'm just gonna be improvising. See what my stepmom has here. But this is like 2 months of growth. I haven't shaved my hair in like 2 months. And you know this phase of your hair when it's like starting to grow and it's annoying because you can't do a lot of styles with it, and then you restart the cycle of like shaving your hair again. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But in the meantime, feel free to ask me whatever question you want. Where are you watching from? Comment your country or your state. Let me know where you're watching from, okay? Alright, I think I put enough oil at the scalp. If I don't like oil my hair a lot, it itches like crazy. So step 1, oil. And then this is one thing we never learned growing up. When you have hair like me, do not comb your hair like when it's dry like this. This is why our hair always break and it feels like it can't grow. But it's because we keep combing it dry. Like even growing up in Jamaica, like dry like this, and they would like start to like detangle it. Do not detangle your hair when it's dry like this. I learned that when I became an adult, so basically wetting mine right now. And if you haven't voted, I put a poll on my story on, I'm trying to decide between those two haircuts with style I want to do, so please go vote so I can see which one is the most preferred. In the meantime, feel free to ask me whatever question you want, and I will try to answer them. Let's see. See how different it is now that my hair is wet? Any tips to prepare for the MCAT and get a decent score? Okay, well, number one, what do you call a decent score? We have to like establish that. So let me know what you call a decent score, and then I will let you know if I'm qualified to give tips. Because I do not want to lead anyone astray. So what are you shooting for? What do you think is a decent score for you? Let's talk. Another thing about our hair, it feels like it doesn't matter how much you wet it, it feels dry. It's just weird. Feels like I have to like see. Doesn't matter how much water I put in it, like the water just bounces off. Alright, so 5'10 plus. Whew. Honey. Alright, so 5'10 plus. I didn't get the plus, so but I can tell you what I did for my MCAT. It depends. Okay, so you know, when you hear people talk about, oh, I study for MCAT in 3 months or 2 months or blah, blah, blah. Technically, that's not true, because the classes that you take, you know, are preparing you for the content of the MCAT. But the MCAT exam is not just rote memorization. You have to like learn to apply. So when you hear people talk about, oh, I just studied 6 weeks or blah, 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 what they're trying to say is that for the actual test, to understand the test, probably that's the time that they use. So everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, right? And one thing that works for one person may not work for I've never used this, but let's see. If not, I'll just wash my hair. What may work for one person may not work for you. So I think the first thing in getting like a good MCAT score is to know what you're good at first and what's your limit. Because in doing that, or in knowing that, that's gonna shape what you focus on. So for me, for example, before I started my MCAT prep, I took an exam, a mock exam, because I just wanted to see what my strong areas were, you know, what my weak areas were, and to tailor my study to fit it. I mean, I already knew what my strong areas and weak areas were, because like, I think I've mentioned this before, like I didn't take Gen Chem or physics in the US, and I took that years ago in Jamaica. So I knew that was gonna be a struggle for me. While, you know, I took a lot of like upper level molecular classes here in the US and biochemistry. And I took a couple physiology classes as well. So I going into the, like, before I started studying, I kind of had an idea, you know, what I needed to pay attention to. And I knew cars was going to kick my butt because, one, I have severe ADHD. Two, I read extremely slowly. And those things do not help at all for the car section. So the first thing is to figure out what your strong areas are. And if you're still in undergrad, honestly, taking a biochemistry class definitely helps. Taking a molecular class definitely helped with the third section of the MCAT. But the people that usually excel at the MCAT are those who, one, have the time to study for it. Like, you don't have to work while you're studying. You can just dedicate, let's say if you want to do 6 months dedication, you know, there are people who just study eight hours a day for 6 months. I mean, those people are lucky because they don't have to work. I had to work right through. So, and I had to go to school. So again, you have to look at what's the word I'm trying to look for. You have to decide, do you have to work? If you have to work, then you have to take care of business. But if you don't have to work, then that's gonna make your MCAT studying much easier. Number one. In terms of, give me one sec. So in terms of actual resources, I use the Kaplan books for the bulk of my resources, because to me, not all of them. So like, I basically had to like reteach myself physics and chemistry, Gen Chem, because I did Orgo and all those other ones here. And for me, like, the Kaplan books were easy to understand for those. So I basically had to, I went through and read the book from front to back. And one online source, at the time it was free, but I don't know about now, but one online source that helped me with Gen Chem and physics was Chad's Prep, CHADS, Chad's Prep. It was free. Their videos were really good at explaining concepts, and I think they touch a lot of stuff that the MCAT asked. So that's one resource I will recommend for studying if you're somebody that is struggling for the MCAT prep. In terms of psychology and sociology. So I took like I took like a sociology class, and I took 2 psychology classes, and honestly I remembered nothing. I remembered nothing from those classes. So what really helped me, because I remember like even leading up to the exam, like I was just scoring at like 125, and I was like, psychology is not that hard. Why can't I like improve my score in psychology? And then I discovered Anki. That was like a month before my exam, actually. I discovered Anki a month before my exam, and specifically the Miles Down Anki deck. There are so many decks out there, but the Miles Down Anki deck for sociology and psych, that when I started just doing that every day, like, cracking the code for psychology is just a lot of buzzwords that you may never use in your life again, but you just have to memorize it for a stupid exam, because I think the MCAT is very stupid. So if you are struggling with psychology, I definitely recommend going through those Anki terms, because the biggest hurdle with psychology is learning those buzzwords and the meaning of those words. Once you understand the meaning of those words, then you can see a sharp improvement. So I went within a month of taking the MCAT, I went from scoring like 125 on my psychology practice test to I think a 131 or a 132. I kid you not, I was shocked myself, because I was actually frustrated with myself, because I was like, this shouldn't be hard. Why can't I crack the code for it? And, I eventually did for that one. So if you are struggling with psychology and sociology, get the Miles Down deck. Use it on Anki. So many things changed the past years. Now I hear that the new Anki, you have to pay for it. Like, I don't know, I can't keep up anymore. But I definitely recommend that deck for it. And of course, doing practice questions. A big chunk of the MCAT is the stamina. It's like a 8 month long, not 8 month, it feels like that, but it's like a hours long exam. So practice, practice, practice. Doing as much practice exams that you could. I think I took probably 10 practice exams before, because I started my dedicated study in I think March 2020, and then I took my exam July 2020. And March was when I was leaving undergrad. It was crazy. I was working all these hours, so technically I didn't get to like dedicate a lot of time to the MCAT that I wanted to. But one thing that a lot of people swears by was the U World. Have you ever heard of U World? They use it in med school too. I haven't subscribed yet, but I told myself that if I had to retake my MCAT, because I only took mine once, if I had to retake my MCAT, I would have definitely invested in U World. I am not giving my personal experience with U World, but based on what other people have said, the people I know that score really high overall in everything are the ones that use U World. Like, they set you up to pass that exam. But you know, U World is really expensive, so I don't know. I think it was like over $600 at the time, a couple years ago. I don't know how much it is now. But if you can invest in that, I've heard good things about U World for everything. It helps with all the sections. If you're struggling with cars, I'm sorry, I can't help you because I struggled with it. And it doesn't matter what I tried. I just couldn't crack the code. Like, I went up like 4 points between like my practice exams and my real score. But it wasn't like a 130 or like, you know, like a 129. So I don't know if I can give advice on cars because I never cracked the code. And I know a lot of people always ask me for advice on like cars and like individual sections of the MCAT, but I didn't crack the code for that one, so I can't help you. One, because I have really bad ADHD and I read slowly, so it's not like I didn't understand the passages, I just always ran out of time. I've taken 3 practice tests so far. I've been scoring low 500s. Okay, so hypothetically speaking, let's say that I score similarly on the real one. Do I still have a chance in getting to med school? So there are people who get into medical school with 495, people that get in with 499, people that get in with 500, people that get in with 505, 510, 515, 520. And you have people that don't get in with a 520. So it depends on the schools that you apply to, one, and the rest of your application. So for me, I had a really good GPA. You know, like, I think I graduated with like a 3.98. I only got 1 A minus, right? And I'm not bragging, I'm just saying I had a good GPA. So I knew that I didn't have to shoot for like a 515 or 520 because I think, in my opinion, everything else in my application was solid. So it all depends. And again, I wasn't planning on applying to like a lot of Ivy League schools or whatever either. I wanted to stay in Michigan. So you have to take all of those, you know, into account. Do you have like a top school that you want to go to that doesn't take less than, because if you get the MSAR, have you ever heard of the MSAR? MSAR? In my days, it was $25. It lasts for a year, and it's something that you can get on the AAMC website. And basically, it gives you a breakdown of each school, their GPA cutoff, their MCAT cutoff for like the previous year and stuff like that. There are some schools that it doesn't matter how exceptional the rest of your application is, if you have like a certain MCAT or GPA, they're not going to take you because they have a cutoff. So whether it's a 515 is their cutoff, or a 510, or a 500, that is something that you can get on the MSAR. And I always say that a lot of people don't get into medical school because they don't apply to the right schools. Like, I wasn't going to apply to schools who have cut off at 515 because I didn't get a 515, you know? Maybe I would have applied to one, but I wouldn't like just fill my application list with just schools that lowest was 515. You know, same thing goes for the GPA. I don't know what your GPA is, but some schools do have cutoff points. And that's why, like, putting together your school list is very important. You know, we pay a lot of focus on the MCAT score. We pay a lot of focus on the MCAT score or the GPA score or the shadowing or this, but you have to pay attention to your school list as well. So with your practice tests, do you find like you have a weak area in your practice from your scores? Do you find that you're struggling with one area more than others? Because that's why taking, and when do you plan to take your exam? You know, that's why I encourage taking practice tests early, because you can see a trend, you know, of the areas that you need to focus on more, you know? So to give me a little more so I can, you know, help you a little more, like, do you have a trend where you're struggling with? I am disappointed. Y'all, I thought this brush was gonna be hard, but it's soft as hell. I need a hard brush to brush my hair. And definitely if you can invest in UWorld, I've heard really good things about it, so you can't go wrong because so many people have excelled using it. And definitely like the AAMC materials, that's like the only materials I bought, honestly, the AAMC materials. Like everything else I found like free resources. The Kaplan books, I bought them, and those came with like I think 3 exams, but like I use like a lot of child prep for Gen Chem and physics. I use the Kaplan books for bio because molecular bio, biochemistry, those I'm good at. I didn't take any physiology in undergrad, so I didn't take any anatomy and physiology in undergrad, so I basically had to like, I read the Kaplan books for that. I thought the bio Kaplan books was really good. Yes, yeah. That is a common trend with a lot of people, and even though English is my first language, like not American English, so I struggled with that one too. Those were the 2 that I really struggled with. So oh, you said psych soc. Okay, so have you been doing Anki for psych and soc? Have you ever heard of the Miles Down deck before that I mentioned earlier? Definitely, like I always say, out of everything else, psychology is where you can gain the most points. The easiest to raise your score is psychology, and the best way to raise your score is to know those buzzwords, honestly. So you plan to take it in January. I mean, you have a couple months. You have what? I don't know, over 2 months left. If you want to take it in January. So if you haven't started using the Miles Down deck, I definitely recommend that you do that. As I said, I'm sorry I can't help you for cars because I struggle with cars so much. I did increase my reading by just using a lot of like Jack Weston At the time, they were free. Okay, so now I've been reading the 300-page. Okay, that's good, but you have a little over a month left, so you don't have the time to read that document. You need to get on Anki. At the time, it was like $25 on Apple and free on Android. I don't know about now, but download Anki, download the Miles Down deck. You can find that on Reddit and start hitting those, because you're gonna see your score is going to increase. I promise you, it will, because that's the buzz, that's the cracking the code for psychology. Like, the words that they use, people don't use them in everyday life. Like, I took 2 psychology classes, and I didn't even use half of those words in my psychology classes. So definitely do that, and let me know if do it for 2 weeks. So message me and let me know if you see an improvement in your score. And then a lot of people who like improve on cars, they say they read more. I tried that, it didn't work for me. I mean, it worked, I went up 4 points, but as I said, it wasn't a 529 or 530 or whatever. But basically every day with cars, I did like the Jack Weston. Have you ever heard of Jack Weston? They give you like free car passages every day. Honestly, I don't think this gel is working on my hair, but oh, you're welcome. Yeah, so have you heard of Jack Weston? Start reading that every day. And that's what I did. So I guess, yes, it's still free. Okay, good, because capitalism, they monetize the heck out of everything these days. And I know some people got a tutor for cars. I didn't get that. I didn't have the money to get no damn tutor. But if you can afford it, I don't know if it's probably too late now, but if you have to like retake your MCAT or whatever, getting a good tutor will help, because apparently there's a method to cars. I couldn't crack that, so there are people that get like 530, like 130 on cars. I'm like, how is that possible? I know I'm not dumb, but these passages are boring as hell, and I don't want to read them. But people crack the code, so maybe find a good tutor that will help you with that. And then, do you have UWorld? If you don't use, I don't know how much benefit UWorld will give, since you have like 2 months left. I don't know. But I've heard so many good things about UWorld. It's really expensive, but I've heard good things about it. So, I mean, it doesn't make a difference if you take the MCAT January or March. So, I'm not telling you to push back your date, but I'm just saying. I know some people usually try to take it January, so if they have to retake it back, if they want to apply next year, Okay, so my plan is to take it January and potentially retake it in May if my January score is not enough. Do you recommend that plan, or just study until May and take it once? I say study and take it in April. That's what I would have done, honestly, if you have the time. Because like, if you have to like incorporate like UWorld and those things, like, I don't know how much difference it's gonna make. Y'all, I'm literally using the whole damn bottle. I need to cut it because it's not helping. My intention was to take it once if I could, and then if my score wasn't good enough, I would make some changes and retake it when I was scoring better. Because as I said, like, when I was doing my practice exam, it was weird because there were days when I would score in like the high 500s, and then other days I would score at low 400s. So I wasn't like, it wasn't consistent. So when I went to take my exam, I was like, is that a do or die, But as I said, a lot of people do it your way. It works for some people. I mean, others it doesn't. But like, if you know that you're struggling with something now and you want like a specific score because you have like specific target schools, like, why are you gonna waste your money and take it in January if you're not ready? It's not like you can apply in January anyways. So you can retake it. You can take it in April, and that will give you enough time to get your score back in May. And then you can, if you feel like you need to retake, you can retake it probably like August. I don't know. But that's just my 2 cents. Because you don't want to waste your money, like for me, as I said, like, I wouldn't have retaken the MCAT. I didn't want to go in with the mindset that I wanted to retake, but I applied in 2020. It was a shit year. They kept rescheduling. I was supposed to take the MCAT for May, and they kept rescheduling because, pandemic and everything. And I was still trying to understand the American system. So I was like, I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going to take it. But if I didn't get in, I wasn't going to retake it the same time for that cycle. I was going to be like, okay, now I know these things. I know you world. I know this. I'm going to dedicate more time, because by that time I had finished with school. So my plan was to dedicate more time if I had to retake it and fix the weak spots somehow. If I was to get a tutor or whatever way I needed to fix it. So that was my mindset. Like, I didn't want to take it twice in the same cycle. Because in my mind, I don't know how much you can improve with just 2 months difference or whatever. But, that's just me. I hope that helped. I don't know if that's the answer you wanted, but I mean, I finished the whole damn bottle. I guess it helped. Do you have any other questions? Do you have your school list? Like, do you have a list of schools that you want to attend? Make sure. Yeah. I mean, I would just like spend the time, incorporate those resources, and take it in April or wherever. If my practice exam starts improving by then. Yeah. But most people take the MCAT twice too, so it's not like there's a right or wrong answer. Most people take the MCAT at least 2 times before they get into medical school. So if you have to retake the MCAT, it's not the end of the world. It's just that I didn't take it twice, so I am not qualified to talk about like the difference it makes between taking it the first time and do y'all hear this wetness? All right, let's see. Kinda. I could inbox you and share my school list and stats that I have. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're free to do that. I don't have class this week, so if you want to do that, that would be good. I can help you. But once weekend comes, I'm gonna be busy again. I know there are like some like online resources that give you like a breakdown of the school. information. But definitely the MSAR, I don't have access to it anymore, but the MSAR will give you the more like, whew, I think I finally did it. It is so wet. Lord, give me strength. Do you have any other questions, my dear? Okay. Tie this bad boy down. And hopefully it'll be good by later. I doubt it because it's gonna still be so wet. But my hair is done. I'm gonna go back and finish cook, so feel free to message me if you have any questions, okay? Should I post this live? I probably will. I don't usually like post my random lives, but I think I'll post this one. Anyways, bye everybody. Oh, I look like a dude. Bye everybody. I hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving and eat the food because you're gonna die anyways. So don't be watching calories this thing. Oh my god, I'm giving bad advice as a medical student. Thank you so much for this insightful information. You're welcome. Yeah, please feel free to inbox me if you have any questions, and go enjoy your mac and cheese, pie, whatever, and be merry. All right, bye. Oh, I need to wash my hand first. Okay. You are Gyro.